If what you look for you find is true, and it is, we're going to dive into that today, why, then how does that relate to money? Okay, so today we're diving into the intersection between confirmation bias and money mindset. Okay, because when you are someone who is in business, you are selling something, right? You have a product or a service, you're a coach or you're selling products, whatever. There's an exchange of money, right? And there are things obviously with sales, like we have to be sold out completely for what it is that we're selling. We have to believe that it's actually way more valuable than the dollar amount that's on it, right? Like we have to have beliefs around what it is we're selling. But when that translates into the money that we're receiving, we are getting what we're looking for. And unfortunately, this is usually subconsciously driven completely without our awareness of where it came from, where it's driving us to, all those things. Okay, so as a recap, if this is your first podcast you're listening to, like I geek out about mindset work, about how our brains are neuroplastic, which means they're constantly wiring, rewiring, forming stronger connections, getting rid of weaker connections, which is really good when we understand how to make our brain work for us. Okay, so that's where our lives move in the direction of our strongest thoughts because of something called confirmation bias. So you need to understand our subconscious can only take information in. It can't negate the information that we take in. So if you tell yourself the sky is green, and that's something that you believe with all of your being because you grew up and everyone said the sky is green, right? Like this is just something that you've always known. It's green. And it's like people are like, the sky's blue. You're like, what? No, it's green. Like that is a belief. So then you're looking, because this is a subconscious thought, right? Like your brain is looking to validate, to prove you correct, to prove the belief correct. So it's looking for things to confirm it. Confirmation bias. What we look for, we find. So when it comes to our money mindset in our business, we are going to find what we're looking for based on that underlying belief that we have that's driving everything around money, right? Like it can be an overall belief about money. I grew up in the church, so a lot of people loved to take the verse out of context of the love of money is the root of all sorts of evil, and to say money is evil and we shouldn't go after it. And people took out of context the parable of the talents, and if people have taken out of context what's the other one just the rich young ruler. People have taken that one, and this is one that I didn't even know was taken out of context until I had more of the context based on a sermon that I listened to just a few weeks ago. And the word in that parable about the rich young ruler, or the story, I guess it wasn't a parable, it actually happened, but he said, he asked, how the word that he used, like the specific Hebrew word he used for like life, riches, abundant, was actually Zoe, Z-O-E. And that actually means fulfillment. And so it wasn't that he was sad about getting rid of all of his riches. What he was sad about was that he wasn't going to find fulfillment in his riches, which meant that his beliefs were going to have to be radically shifted because he was looking for fulfillment. He was looking for abundant life, right? Like, and obviously we know that your possessions and those things are not going to do that for you. Now, does that automatically mean that those things are bad? Absolutely not, right? It depends on where. If we're looking to the source, like if we're looking at money as the source, or if we're looking at it as a resource, just like time, just like energy, right? But the cool thing is, even though time is not renewable, time is maximizable depending on how you look at it, what you believe about time. Energy is renewable, and it also has a lot to do with how we prioritize other things in our lives, right? And money is a renewable resource as well that is not limited. Like, if you look at how much money is in this world, there's so much. Like, it's crazy. Like, it would blow your mind. I was just talking to a coach the other day, and he was telling me about a client he had worked with, and this guy it was like $143 billion a year. And he was like, that's like, I don't know, math, I'm just throwing this out there, but it was like 20 some million dollars a day, right? And like, we can't even conceptualize that for the most part, right? Grant Cardone was doing a training, and he had $1 million in cash on his desk. And he did that because, or maybe it was $100,000 in cash on his desk. I don't remember. But, you know, I think it was 100,000, because most people are like, okay, I want to be a 6-figure earner, right? And that's like my target that I'm working for is $120,000, right? But that's just a target. That's not the overall target that I'm working towards. And he was just showing that we tend to have these beliefs around what is a lot of money or what is a little money, right? And that is usually rooted from what we were exposed to growing up. And this is an interesting thing, because when I look at growing up, in my memory, we never wanted for anything. We were always well fed. All of our needs were always met, like, all the time and above and beyond. Like, we still did fun things. We didn't have like big extravagant vacations, but like, that wasn't really our thing. Like, we were like more like in nature, like camping trips and things like that. But then if you ask like other people in my family looking back, like, their perception of it was like, we were so poor. And I just never had that perception. And so, but I will say, I did gain the perception that there needs to be some shame associated with shopping, with spending money. And that actually came from my grandma, bless her heart. We would go on these extravagant shopping trips when I would go visit her in Florida. I'm sure we even did these before then, but that's just what I remember was Florida once they'd already lived there. And I remember us hiding the bags on the way in, even though I'm sure my papa knew about all of it. But like, it was just that small thing that we did that we would like have to hide them, that I, over the last several years, have noticed in myself that I have this tendency to want to hide things that I've purchased for myself or for our home or whatever, from the ones I love. And then that brings like some shame along with it. And so like, this is an area like I'm still working through myself of like, no, it's okay to spend money. We never have a spending problem. We have an income problem, right? Like, if we feel like we're spending too much money, it's just because we need to increase our income, right? Because, at the end of the day, like, I'm not an extravagant person when it comes to things. Like, I prefer experiences, I prefer freedom, options, those kinds of things, and being able to be generous at whatever the heck level I feel led to, right? No matter if that's with having a little money or a lot of money. And so confirmation bias means our brains are looking for those things around us to prove our beliefs correct, right? That they are valid. And so if your subconscious is driving you in a direction that you don't want to go, so maybe it's, there's never enough money, everything's so expensive. Just being able to catch yourself saying those things, even if you're just saying them in your head, but if you're saying them out loud, especially to other people, being able to catch yourself in the moment so then you can address it can be really, really helpful. And then choosing, to do the work to kind of dig into, why am I thinking this, or why am I noticing these things, right? Like, how is it, like, when I think of money, or I log into my accounts, or I go to pull up my paycheck, or, whatever it is, like what are those feelings associated with it? And that is usually a good indicator of there's a story going on here, right? And, even if you aren't familiar with your emotions and able to name them well, usually you can see your behaviors, So if you're someone who's like, oh, I don't want to check my accounts because I know it's not going to be good or whatever, and you start avoiding checking your accounts, or you find yourself waiting until the last minute to pay something, or, any kinds of those habits, those are also indicators that you've got a story going on that's not serving you. Because if you have this big goal to make all these sales, to bring in all these customers, to grow your wealth, to become a wealth builder, but the behaviors that are showing up are some poor guy living in a cardboard box, there's a disconnect there, right? And so we have to raise our level of belief, and we have to give our brain something else to look for. So if you've done any work with Tony Robbins, you know that he always uses this exercise of, quick, look around you and name everything that is red. Okay? Do that, right? Okay. And then now tell me everything that was blue. Well, I didn't. Now I'm seeing blue because now I'm looking for it. But this is a perfect example of, you will find what you're looking for and you will miss what you're not looking for. And here's the other interesting thing about that. When I said look around and find everything that you see is red, now was everything you saw true red? Probably not. You were probably seeing things that were like shades of red, or even shades of brown, or you know what I mean? And you were like, that's close enough. That's red-ish, right? And so the thing, this is confirmation bias. When you are training your brain, because you're intentional about it, right? You're not allowing your subconscious to drive anymore and support those beliefs that are no longer serving you. So it's a twofold. It's creating awareness around those beliefs that are no longer serving you, and it's making your brain work for you with confirmation bias of giving it something else to look for. And so one thing that I have been implementing for myself is shifting this belief from I have to work hard in order to be successful to success comes with ease and speed and abundance to me. And I can seamlessly integrate money. Money comes with ease and speed and abundance to me. And, pairing that with frequency work so that it helps any imbalances, whatever. And that is how you look for it. So when you think about your typical day, right? And I know right now inflation is high, right? Things 2 years ago today cost a whole heck of a lot more. We have a family of 7. We know this. Even going out to fast food is costing us almost always 50 to 70 bucks. That's fast food. That's crap, right? If we're talking an actual white middle class sit down, all used to think fancy, Red Lobster. I actually saw a meme about that was talking about if you grew up thinking Red Lobster was a fancy restaurant, you were definitely white middle to low class or something like that. And I was like, that's funny. Because that's our fancy restaurant as a family that we love to go to, right? But that, if we go, I mean, we're talking over a $200 bill just for, because if we're going out to eat, we don't just want to be okay, we're getting water and no appetizers, no desserts, we're sharing courses, you know what I mean? That's not fun. That's not the point of going out to eat, and so we're going out and we're going big, right? But the whole point of all that was, how are you looking about your everyday, just the things that you're doing that you're spending money on? When you're getting gas, are you saying to yourself, gosh, it's so expensive, man, I can't believe it's so expensive, it went up this much, oh, I hope that the number stops soon because it's getting so expensive? Or are you looking at it as, I'm so thankful that I have the money to fill up my vehicle. I'm so thankful that we have gas to put in our vehicles so that we can drive to see the people that we love and do the things that we want to do or have to do or whatever, not even have to do, but get to do, right? There's a shift there. Like going to the grocery store, are we focusing on, gosh, this is going to be so expensive. Like, oh, don't put that in the cart. That's too expensive. Or are we thinking, man, I'm so thankful that we have grocery stores where we can go and get food anytime we want, right? That I have money in my account, that I can get these groceries. Or even that God gave me a brain to be able to plan ahead and to use the resources that I have right now wisely, right? Like to be a good steward of what I've been given. And also that God has given us the ability to earn income and not stay stuck because we do this kind of mindset work, because we do this belief raising work, right? And so then when you're looking at what's possible for your business, for your goals, for your income levels, when you're looking at being a wealth builder, where is the disconnect happening? Because you have to believe it. You have to be sold out for what's possible when it comes to your income levels in order for it to become a reality. Because this is the other cool thing about our brain that I say all the time, that our brains can't separate reality from when we tell it. And so this is where we have the power to train our brains to look for us, right? To look for all the ways that money's coming in. And this is interesting. So as I've made these shifts in my mindset about money, it was almost like my money miraculously multiplied. Whereas I had this mindset before of like, I don't know how to handle money, so therefore I get rid of it as quickly as possible. And then I'm frustrated because there's never anything left, right? Like all I did was change my thinking and my beliefs about money, and instead started focusing on all the ways that I have to bring in income. And I'm so thankful that money gets to flow in, and then I get to tell money where to go to flow out, right? Like just making these shifts. And it almost seemed like something happened where like all of a sudden my money just started going further and lasting longer and being able to do more, and, was staying in my account, and it wasn't like rushing out the door as soon as like faster than it came in. And so this is the power of raising our belief and challenging our existing beliefs that are holding us back. And so confirmation bias can be your new best friend when it comes to this. And this is why I put together that visualization practice that I offer totally for free, because your brain needs to know where it's going in order to grow there. Like it has to have a clear picture of where it's going, because it can't separate reality from what you tell it. So the more clear and specific and detailed and full-bodied 5 senses that you can pull into painting the picture around your money, for your business, for your life, for all the things, the more your brain is going to work for you to make it reality. Because in your brain, it's like, this is already reality. So let's look for the things to make it so, right? So I hope you understand that confirmation bias can be your best friend, and that if you haven't done that visualization practice, do that now. And I can't wait to talk to you soon. Bye.